Hi everyone, Logan here. Welcome back to the channel. Well, in this video I was just going to go through a few projects that I've just been doing recently. One is out in the observatory using the Skywatcher Esprit 120 and the ASI 2600 mm Pro, and that's involved imaging the Fornax Galaxy Cluster, and I've done a 2-panel mosaic there to try and include as much as I can of that cluster into a shot. And the other project is imaging M45 with the Redcat. Now, I've been manually focusing with the Redcat, which actually works fine, and in conjunction with the ASI Air Pro, not the Plus, the Pro. And that's been okay, but I now have the ASI 1600 sitting a little bit idle after it was taken off the Skywatcher and kicked out by the 2600. And I thought, well, I'd like to use that camera with the 10-inch Meade SET, but also if I could use it with the Redcat. I know it's not the ideal camera to use with a Redcat because of the Redcat's field of view, etc., but I don't have another camera that's more ideal for the Redcat, so that's what I've been wanting to set up. With the filters, obviously. Now, trying to manually focus every time there's a filter change would be a little bit of a pain, and I really wanted to do something more electronic as far as the focusing is concerned, and automatic through the ASI Air Pro. So recently I removed the ZWO electronic focuser off the 10-inch Meade because I bought the Astro 2-inch robotic focuser for that. Now, I had been using, on the Meade, I had been using this Crayford focuser with the ZWO electronic focuser attached here. But the problem with this setup was that it wasn't that accurate. You had to sort of tighten a screw in here to get the right tension for it to move correctly when you asked it to move a certain number of steps. And the other thing is, with this way it's set up, it's not a screw-in system, so you do have to slot the imaging train into here, and because there's only a screw here to tighten up and one here, you ended up pushing everything just slightly off kilter. So I wanted something that was a full screw together system, so that's where the Astro 2-inch focuser came into play. The other thing I didn't really like about this is, over time, or particularly with temperature change, the tension that the screw was providing on the system would vary a bit, and it would often get a bit loose. And so sometimes I would watch it sitting there and it would slew to a target, then the whole thing would just slide back like this, and I'd be running out there with a screwdriver, tightening things up and setting it all up again. And I just thought, no, I want something a little more reliable. So that's gone. And I had the ZWO focuser lying around, so I thought, why not use that with the Redcat? Now, I've seen multiple setups with the Redcat, often involving 3D printed parts. Some you can print yourself, and I actually started off down that track. Other systems, you can buy systems through Deep Sky Dad, for example. And then I saw another system that's just in a photograph off, I think it was off Google, or it might have been off one of the forums, I'm not really sure now. And it didn't involve any 3D printed parts. It just involved me getting a couple of extra things from Amazon and putting it all together, and it seemed a lot more simple. So that's what I've been doing with the Redcat, and I'll show you how I got that all working. So a quick search in Google for electronic focuser and Redcat51, and then looking into images, will bring up a myriad of arrangements for the Redcat and autofocusing. Some involve other branded focusers. Here I was interested in the ones that involve the ZWO electronic focuser. So for example, here is a picture of one such setup, where you can see there's a 3D printed part here, there's some 3D printed parts here as well, and then obviously I need to get hold of a belt of some description, or some belt material, and a cogbit to go on the end of the electronic focuser in order for it to move the belt and therefore move the focusing mechanism on the Redcat. So I actually found on Thingiverse, kindly provided by someone called M Curl, some 3D printed parts for such a setup. This is the way the setup looked, nice and tidy, and this also didn't actually involve worrying about having a closed belt. You could actually just have a length of belt that didn't have to be joined into a closed loop, because you sort of jam the free ends into this part here. So that was the way I was heading, and here are the files and all the 3D printed parts. So I went ahead and I did that. Now I was in the process of almost putting it all together when I can't remember, I just did another search and under images, and I found this image posted on Cloudy Nights, and it looks like it's a setup done by David Parks. And I looked at this and I thought, wow, this would actually work really well with the equipment that I've got. I was using an off-axis guiding system just like this, so I didn't need to have a Guidescope sitting in this part here, which I already had purchased for the Redcat from William Optics. I had the ASI Air Pro on top, and of course I had the electronic focuser with this bracket it comes with anyway. All I needed was to get this sort of cog bit and some belt material, which I got quite easily from Amazon. You can find tons of these sort of bits and pieces, because I think a lot of them are used for making changes to or repairs to 3D printers. So I ordered those, and just looking at this picture, set it up exactly the same. Right, so we're going to make a closed belt that can just go around the Redcat and for the focusing. So there's this belt material which I think has little tiny bits of metal through it to give it lots of strength. We've got some super glue, and I've got some strapping here just from a tie down, which I'm going to cut a strip from just to brace across the join to give it extra strength. Now this belt material just easily purchased from Amazon. As I said, these parts are apparently for some 3D printers, so you get 5 of these cogs, only use 1 that goes on the electronic focuser, and you get 5 meters of this, so if you do muck it up the first time, you got plenty of goes again to keep making some. So I'm just going to cut myself a piece of this strap here to bridge across the gap. So put this on like so, and I'm just going to cut across. Now I could use this piece, but I did melt the end, so it's a bit tough to use. So I'm just going to cut myself another little piece across here. Okay, there's a little strip there which I shall use and add here. It's sort of roughly the width of the belt, and I will melt the end of that later so it doesn't start to fray. So with the belt, it's suggested that you cut on a ridge. So I'm just going to get the blade here and just cut down right on the ridge. I guess the theory being that that's going to be your widest piece for gluing. So we'll cut that off, and this one here is a little bit big, this loop, so I'm just going to cut it down a tiny bit further, and again on a ridge. So that should join up okay like that right on the ridge. So now I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to just get some super glue and get my fingers a bit further apart and just drop some super glue into the gap there and push it together like so. I'm just going to move it over a little bit to an area where there's a little less glue now on the board, so it doesn't stick to it. Then I'm going to put some extra glue. Just get my finger a little bit further away, because you don't want to make a belt where your fingers are still attached. Put that on there like that, And then I'm going to put the strapping on here like so. Just push that down, and then I'm going to put some extra glue right on the top, soak it in so that it really sticks down. Now this will be quite firm once it's glued, but you can trim it up so that it fits more about the size of the belt. And also you can just bend it a little bit to make it a little bit more flexible. Just going to take this blade and just push it down a little bit so it's nice and flat onto the belt. I might just also just going to wipe this, just wipe the excess glue off this, and I'm just going to carefully go underneath here so it's not sticking to the board, which it is, but it usually comes off pretty easily. Yeah, like that. And we can just move it to another area here, like so. Just going to push the ends down a little bit further so it's a bit tighter down. And it's a matter of waiting for a bit for that to dry. And once it's a little bit more dry, I'll turn it over and just put a little bit. Actually, I might be able to get away with that now. It's sticking again. Just put a little bit extra glue. You can see there's quite a nice join there. So I might not need to, but I will to reassure, just a little bit in there. And that is basically how you make your belt with a closed loop. So this is how I have mine set up currently. I've taken out all the different connections so that you can see what's going on here rather than having wires running all over the place. But I've got the ASI Air Pro sitting on here. Now here's its little bracket there, the red piece down here that would slot into this bracket, which would normally hold a guide scope. But what I've done is I've taken the L-shaped bracket that comes with the electronic focuser that I was using to attach to the Crayford focuser, and I've bolted it in between, so now this has a nice firm connection for this to attach to. I've also got the edge of the L shape here just sitting on the little cat ears of this bracket that comes from William Optics, so it means there's a little extra bit of support. This belt is not sort of going to pull down on the focuser and cause some flexion here. It's actually got this extra to rest on. Now you will need to obviously connect these little cog things that you get in the packet with the belt material. That just sort of slides onto the part that's sticking out of the focuser here, and you just tighten it up with the grub screws. And then it's a matter of, before all this connection slides onto this, you just need to make sure that you loop your homemade belt loop over the telescope and over the focuser so it can fit in here. That will go around this focusing ring of the Redcat, and then if you want to get the tension right, because you want this not too loose and not too tight, I think if you can see, if I can push this aside here a bit, you probably see in there's a slots in this bracket. So and there's these screws here which you can loosen off and tighten, and just slide this whole focuser up and down just to get the tension right, so that when it is actually turning, it's not going to be slipping on the ring here of the Redcat. I found that a step size of 25 worked really well with this setup and the ASI Air Pro, and that gave me a good V-curve and gave me nice sharp stars, at least in the center. I do have some issues with star elongation occurring out at the corners. But anyway, that's how the automatic focuser is set up, and that's a matter of connecting all the wires up, and yeah, it's been working well. although it was forecast to be 10 days of rain, we've had 3 clear nights so far, and it's going to be clear again tonight. So basically, I pretty much don't know what I'm doing anymore. I've had so little sleep, and I probably won't get a lot tonight either. But you know, you've got to make the most of these clear spells, because we've had a crap load of rain for quite some time, and it may be coming back fairly shortly. So tonight I'm going to image again with the Redcat, collect some more data on the Pleiades, or M45 or Matariki. And I did have a little bit of a mistake I made with the camera. I had the ASI Air Pro setting of the gain to 0 for some reason. I don't know how that happened when it should be at 139, at least for Unity gain. So I'm going to try at 139 tonight and see what kind of images I'm getting compared to what I got last night. And I'll have the Skywatcher out in the roll-off roof observatory. So recently, Joe Navarra from joesastrophoto.com did a video on the 4 essential items required to be a really good astrophotographer, a true professional. And one of those was
NASA stuff. You need lots and lots of NASA stuff.
Well, I've got my NASA shirt. I've had this NASA shirt for ages, so you know, I think I pretty much qualify from that point of view. Anyway, I'll just check the gear before I get imaging tonight. So in Nina, I have actually set the imaging session of the Fornax Galaxy Cluster as a 2-panel. So I've got the first panel over here, and you can see I've collected quite a bit of, well, most of the information actually on this one already. And on the second panel, I'm just finishing off particularly a bit of the luminance, because I didn't quite capture enough of that. If we go to the framing wizard here, this is the kind of framing I'm looking at. So I've got the great barred galaxy here, and then this is the cluster over this area here. So I'm hoping that this should have quite a bit in the frame, and just limit it down to a 2-panel mosaic. So this will be the second mosaic I've ever done. I did do one last year of the Large Magellanic Cloud, which was 6-panel, which threw myself a little bit in the deep end there. Doing 6 panels is my first one, but I'm hoping that 2 panels will be a lot quicker and a lot easier. Although in that situation I was using the 294 MC color, whereas this is using a mono camera, so it is going to require a lot more frames. But Astropixel Processor has a really good way of doing the mosaic, running through the calibration, everything, and then coming out with each of the different filters mosaicked and aligned. So I'm hoping it'll be a lot quicker than the way I did it last year through Pixinsight. But anyway, that's what I'm planning to finish off tonight on the Skywatcher in the observatory, and it'll be Matariki or M45 on the Redcat.